Hey guys, welcome back to Making Multifamily Money. So today I kind of just want to share, I guess, my experience working with lenders recently. So for those of you who don't know, I've been working on a cash out refinance on my 20 unit apartment complex. I bought it about a year ago in May of 2022, off market using my direct mailing campaign. So it's the same mailing campaign where I got my 26 unit and I got a hard money loan on it. It was $350K, which is what I bought it for off market. It appraised at $400K day one. So I had, instant equity in there. Long story short, it was a huge value add property. One unit was burned out completely and the owner didn't want to do anything with it. And it was literally burned down for like 5 years. So, he was really cheap, it costed me about $40,000 to fix it. And, I ended up renovating at least 15 out of 20 of those units. I think the units that aren't renovated, it's because we still have the same tenants in it. And we're not really, I guess we haven't really raised the rents yet because I'm still trying to do a cash out refinance, currently sitting at around 90% occupancy. And, I basically reached out to, I'd say 10 lenders over the past like 2-3 months. And man, it's been challenging. Like it's been super challenging. Lenders are turning down the deal because it's in a small market. It's a tertiary market, Enid, Oklahoma. It's a 50,000 population. It's not really that small, but a lot of national lenders don't like that size. I'm getting turned down because the loan size is too small. Some lenders won't even work with you unless it's, minimum $500,000. I'm getting turned down because of rents. Sometimes they want the rents to be, maybe $700 a month. In this market, it's around $500, $550, and that's renovated, top of market. And I'm getting turned down because of, price per unit. Like they want it minimum $50K per unit. I got a 20 unit apartment complex, so that's $1 million, I think. So multiple reasons. So because of that, I reached out to local community banks, right? One's local to Enid, Oklahoma, one's local to Oklahoma, and even then, like it's become challenging where a lot of lenders, given the high interest rates, they're very conservative right now, and they don't want to take on additional debt. Because I think they're just worrying about the debt that they have that's due, right? Because commercial financing, it's not fixed for 30 years like single family home. You might have a 1 year fixed and it becomes variable, a 3 year fixed, 5 year fixed, 7 year, 10 year, right? So a lot of the local community banks, they typically do 3 to 5 at most. So maybe the loans that people got back in, what was that, 2018, which was good, they're now being, called due, or they're being reassessed 5 years later. So I just think overall it's like very pessimistic. I'm working with Bank of the West on my 20 unit loan, and geez, it's been 45 days since I engaged them. And what's crazy is usually when you buy a real estate, you close in 60 days, right? And that's a full purchase, including due diligence. But literally, this is just a refinance on a property that I own already. And I have an existing relationship with Bank of the West because they're financing my 26 unit, right? So despite all of that, like there's just been, I got approval like 30 days ago, and then they just keep on asking more and more questions, and to me it's just like, oh, what's going on? Like, why is there so many questions, right? Like they would ask, oh, like they had my deal kind of contingent on me selling my mobile home park, but once it kind of fell out of escrow, now they have to kind of reassess the deal again. Or the appraiser report like came back way lower than I expected. I think it appraised at like 520K. And I thought this was going to appraise at 650 easily. That was being conservative. On a price per unit basis, that market's like 40K per unit. So that's about 800K, right? And I think I would have hit that if interest rates were low, like how it was a year ago, right? But I think even appraisers now, they're so like negative on real estate. Like I think there's just an overall like a pessimism, like a black cloud over real estate compared to like a year ago. So it's been crazy. And you know, the appraiser, um, he even kind of said, oh, the value of the, you know, there's about 25 years left on the property. So what does that mean? You can amortize the loan over 25 years. I was approved for 30 years. So, you know, I've been working at Bank of the West. They're trying to get exceptions for me where I can get it amortized over 30 years. And they're also looking to give me, instead of 75% loan to value of the appraised price of 520, they're trying to give me 85%. So I kind of can get back most of my money, leave a little money in the deal. But yeah, it's just been super crazy. This is probably the hardest loan I've ever been through, and it's just a refinance. So overall, it's just kind of been my experience with that. Luckily, in my 26 unit, I have a 10-year fixed loan, so I can kind of ride it out until interest rates go down or things kind of cool off. But since my 20 unit was a hard money loan, like fortunately, I got an extension on my hard money loan. It was due May 12th. But I was able to kind of say, I don't want to pay an extension fee of like, you know, 1.5%. And then they're going to raise my interest rates to 11%. But, you know, it's been like almost like 2 months since my loan was due. And they're kind of pressuring me now, you know, for good reason. So I'm like pressuring Bank of the West. And, you know, it's been a crazy journey. It's been a lot of hurdles and been frustrating. But yeah, that's just kind of the landscape I've been going through right now. So it's almost making me go to the point of like my next deal that I do when things are stabilized is I think I'm just gonna go creative finance, to be honest. With this climate right now, I think creative finance is probably the best to go. You don't want to engage lenders. Or if you do a lender, just do a DSCR lender. I mean, you're gonna pay a higher interest rate, which is why I say, you know, do creative finance, you know, where you can negotiate your terms. But, you know, with traditional lenders that, you know, they look at your tax returns, look at everything, it's been like so challenging on that. And I feel like I got multiple emails from Bank of the West saying, oh, the last minute request. And they keep on saying last minute request, last minute request. And it kind of feels like what's going on. So now I'm re-engaging other lenders that I kind of purposely or like didn't engage before because I don't really know, like, are they going to make this go all the way through, or is the loan officer kind of stringing you along to get you to stay, but they might do like a bait and switch, right? So it's been really interesting in terms of the real estate market, and it's kind of sad because you're kind of discouraging people to want to, like, you know, buy real estate or like transact real estate. So that's why I kind of said that like creative finance is probably the way to go for 2023 and probably at least halfway of 2024, given the current market. So that's my little rant there. I'll open up to you guys. You got a question?
Yeah, as far as the appraisal, and it coming back at 520,
Mm-hmm.
with the rent that you have, should it you know make up for the value? Did you increase? Did you raise the rents yet?
Yeah, so they actually, I'm gonna do a video analyzing my appraisal. The wound's a little too recent right now, so I don't want to do it just yet. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna analyze my appraisal because it's really good information in that appraisal report. I remember we talked before, but basically, they so like fast forward or look back 1 year ago, I got an appraisal report. They thought my after repair value was gonna be 560.
Mm-hmm.
And that was me assuming I'm paying rent of 500 and me only putting 100K worth of renovation, right? But for me, I put in 120K worth of renovation. I'm getting 550 in rents. So in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, if you take that logic, right, your appraiser should be higher than that 560 I was given a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what happened was they basically do two approaches when they on the appraisal report. So they had an income approach. So very
Mm-hmm.
self-explanatory, right? Your net operating income divided by your market cap rate. So you take your income. So they took my rent, right? I'm at 90% occupancy. I'm getting around 500 to 550. So you can average it out, maybe 525. And then they basically assume the expense was around 50%. And then from there, they divide it by 10 cap. And that's what got me.
The 10 cap.
because I thought it was going to be around 8.5 to 9 cap. Right. But I think interest rates are unfortunately, or cap rates are decompressing. Right. So they put me at a 10 cap. And I just said, no way is that market a 10 cap. Right. Like Oklahoma City is probably like a 7.5 cap. So, I get it, maybe like a 9.5 cap, but even at a 9.5 cap, right, I probably would have hit the ARV of close to 600, and that would have been enough to basically do a full cash out refinance, right? So I think that's what it was, kind of a little double. And then the sales approach, so they did a appraisal based on if I were to sell the property, and they had it at 560. But to be honest, if I were to list this at 560, 20 unit, 90% occupied, I would sell this instantly.
Everybody, yeah.
I literally, if I put this on the market, even at 600, I can sell this easily. So I just kind of said, like, like, where are you getting this 560 from? It's not even that accurate. Because if you could buy a true 10 cap deal at 520, people are going to be running to me. Like, it's insane. Right? I would buy the deal, right? So it was quite interesting for that approach. And I just said, like, well, can't you take the higher number? Like, why are you taking the lower number? And they said, well, unfortunately, they're taking the income approach. And what's crazy to me is, like, this is the same appraiser that appraised my 26 unit, and they appraised it at 750, and I bought for 500.
As is, yeah.
As is, right? And I was just like, oh man, like, so that's why, and that was about 2 years ago. So that's why I'm saying I had the same appraisal company, maybe a different appraiser, but just the, back in, August of 2021, the market was hot, right? Everyone was bullish on real estate. Everyone loved real estate, right? Fast forward to today, people aren't as excited about real estate, right? I'm sure you see it. I'm sure you, like, no one has this gun ho. No one wants to do it. And it was just like, wow, like, I didn't expect that. But, like Bank of the West, like, I asked, my first question, I was like, can I contest this appraisal? Right. And, he said that, well, we haven't had any success contesting it. They do an income-based approach. And, I kind of thought, like, well, at the end of the day, if I were doing our appraisal, it's going to cost me another $2,000. It's going to delay this closing by like another 4 weeks. And even if it appraised at like 600, it's like, okay, well, I only cash out, I only pull out additional, like, maybe like 30K. Like, is all that worth an additional 30K? I don't mind a smaller loan size because it's going to cash flow like crazy, right? So I'm getting like close to 9K in rent. Still 2 vacant units, still potential to raise some rents, and probably my loan payment's going to be like maybe close to 4,000, I think, or maybe like 3,600, something like that. So I'm still going to cash flow a little bit on it despite pulling out all my money. So I just said, you know what, like, the delays are killing me already. I want to pull out this money so that I can, continue to renovate my 26 unit and to continue to, support my mobile home park as I'm trying to sell it. Right. So for me, speed matters more right now. And I know that, like, when interest rates drop in a couple of years, like, I'm going to do another cash out. I'm going to do another refinance to lower my rate. Right. So I'm not married. And I even told the lender, I'm like, dude, I don't even care like what you give me at this point.
Just close it.
You want to do 25-year AM, 30-year AM? Honestly, like, I prefer 30, but that's like $200 difference. If you want to give me 70% loan to value, or 85%, I'm trying to actually get 85% loan to value. Because my loan was approved for like an ARV of like 700K. So a 520 loan, right? So I thought I was gonna like get all my money out plus an additional 50K on top of it. But I just said, at this point, dude, whatever you want to give me, I just want to close this loan, because the more questions they ask, I don't like it, right? And then I know that, like, they weren't really too fond of me owning my mobile home park because, obviously, like, you're putting money into it with all the renovations, and I'm doing a bunch of value added real estate, right? So my tax returns look terrible, right? Like you're pumping in money to renovations. And even though when you do your tax returns, like, let's say I put in 200K to renovate my 26 unit, and you break it, you do a depreciation, right? It's depreciate over 5 years. Or you can do bonus depreciation where you depreciate all over year one. But since I'm not like making money today, I want to defer it. I'm only doing over 5 years. So I'm basically writing off like $40K a year for the next 5 years.
But you're able to add that back. Like, are they adding that back into for your income? Is it even an income? It's not an income issue. It's
Yeah.
more of a property. So I guess that's irrelevant.
Yeah. Like basically you hit the nail on the head where they
Yeah.
tend to write it off. But the problem is when you're doing value real estate, what happens? Your occupancy is a little bit lower, right? Your cash flow is a little bit lower because, even me right now on my 26 unit, I'm at like 17 out of 26. And I think I have like six more to renovate. I think 3 are like almost done, and then 3 more are like really heavy value at like renovations. And I kind of want to save that for later when I, get more money and more capital, or let the property kind of accumulate money and then use that cash flow to fund your renovations, right? So have the property be self-sufficient. But because they saw the occupancy drop for a bit, and you're slowly, it's kind of like you rent 2 out at market rent, but then you lose 2, and now you're renovating those 2. So the cash flow doesn't look as good as like it's fully stabilized, right? Like assuming I'm 90%, I'm hitting like 700 rents. Like obviously, I have 6 more units vacant, times that by 700. That's $4,200 in an extra cash flow. That makes you look a lot more impressive, right? Versus like you're lacking 4,200 cash flow and then you're renovating these units. So it's just kind of been like, they get what I'm doing, they know what I'm doing, but they're just way harder on the tax returns like than what I've been used to. And like I said, I'm an existing customer. So probably what I'm gonna do is if I close with Bank of the West in like 3-4 years when interest rates drop again, I'm gonna put both properties. They're in the same LLC. I'm gonna do a cash out refinance and put both those apartments together, and then pull out a bunch of money between those 2 apartment complexes. Right. So I'm gonna do that in the next like 3 years or whenever interest rates drop, and have basically like a 46 unit entity, and then hopefully like it'll give it a higher evaluation because you're kind of like putting them together where OKC is a primary market and then ENET's a tertiary market. Maybe it'll kind of help raise it, so and I can do a bigger cash out refinance and pull out my money. So that's what I kind of plan on doing for the next 3 years. But yeah, that's a huge side tangent there, but yeah, that's the struggle I've been having with the appraiser. I felt like I've been getting hit. Like, I'll be honest, like when I was scaling 80 units, I was very like rosy colored glasses. But, this is the first recession that I've been through. And I see what people meant by like 2008. Like, you're just getting like punched left and right out of nowhere. And a lot of it's out of your control a little bit, which is why it's really key to like have, good reserves. I went a bit more leverage than I would like, to be honest. But that's what I mean by like you're getting basically hit left and right, sucker punch, blindsided, and to be honest, it's like discouraging. Like it makes you not want to buy real estate as much. But obviously, if you can get through this time and survive this time, then when the times are good, it makes it seem a lot easier, right? It's all kind of like perspective. Where a lot of people started investing in 2017. That's when I started. Like it's always been like up, right? And now it's the first time where well, it's not necessarily going down, but just with the lending uncertainty, and they're just more heavily scrutinizing it. That's why I said, like, if you go like creative finance and go off market, like you're kind of unfazed for the most part, because you can say, hey, I can pay you higher price, but give me terms, right? So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards once things are stabilized. And that's why I kind of know, like, when I sell my mobile park, it's going to have to be super creative, right? Like, I know it's going to have to be super creative, because hard money lenders, it's going to be terrible if you bring in like hard money lenders to buy the deal, right? So it's been really, really interesting the past like 3 months, and a little humbling, and it actually made me a little bit less bullish on real estate, but I'm kind of more in like the I don't describe it. I was in the growth mode for the past like probably 2 years, but I think at this point I'm kind of like at the kind of maintain it, kind of level out a bit, weigh it out a bit, and then at that point, if interest rates and the climate looks a lot better, or I do creative finance deals, that's when I'll probably scale up again. So that's just kind of been my my thought process the past like couple weeks that I've been doing. Any questions from anybody?
A lot to take in. Quite the adventure.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, what was it? Like to me, when like you get hit with adversity, that's when like I kind of pause and like you just look around to learn. Like this is when you can learn the most, right? Because like I said, a lot of people got started during the good times, and we haven't been through the bad cycle. And I remember I used to always think like, oh yeah, well you didn't do well in 2008 because of this. But then I remember a lot of people kept on saying like we didn't expect it. It's just like a perfect storm of things aligning, and that's how they like got like wiped out or like things didn't go as planned, right? And now I'm just kind of like seeing the same thing. I'm like unfortunately my fear brain is like taking over. I'm not usually fear based, and I'm just like, wow, I gotta kind of like pause, reassess the situation, and then reevaluate like what do you want to do, right? So it's gotten me thinking like basically you want to do creative finance and you want to make sure like your cash flow is like good day one, and maybe don't do the value add as fast, right? Because for me, my 26 unit, I bought it. I was 24, 26 occupied. I only had 2 vacancies. But I think I was trying to go all in and like just renovate that thing as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. And obviously when you do that, it's gonna it's gonna create turnover. And that's okay like during that time, but like during harder times like this time, like you kind of appreciate having like, oh, maybe I just should have slowly, did a value add deal, right? Like had I had a crystal ball to see in the future, I probably would have been a lot more gradual. Like, okay, I'll just take the cash flow, renovate that unit, finish it, rent it out, kind of be more gradual versus like, hey, we, a bunch of tenants left, renovate 5 units at a time and you're doing 5 at a time, right? So that's what I kind of learned. So that's why I kind of like slowing down. Even my 20 unit, I still have 2 more that need to be done. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just get the new loan and I'll let the cash flow just gradually build up over a month or 2. And then that'll be enough to kind of renovate the unit for like, $5K or whatever, right? So yeah, really, really interesting learning experience, I would say, going through this. And like I said, when I was getting loans 2 years ago, man, banks, it was so easy. Like I closed on that thing so fast, so easy, no questions asked. Now everything is being scrutinized. They're even looking at all 3 years of my tax returns, right? And like, why is your W-2 income trending down? Like, why is this? And I just said, look, I bought 80 units in 8 months and they're all value add. Like, throw in me getting laid off from my W-2 pharmacist job, like my tax return isn't going to look as pretty, right? So it's been crazy learning. But I think it, long-term wise, I think it's great that, hopefully I'll look back in 10 years and be like, I'm glad this happened, because it really pivots how you invest, after you experience like kind of a harder time, right? Whether that's higher interest rates or whether it's a recession. So very interesting perspective I'd say I'd have now. And I think it definitely is going to make me a little more, I guess, conservative moving forward in terms of like how aggressively I want to renovate it and how aggressively, I'm going to make in terms of an offer price. And then obviously be more methodical where like, I don't want to trash my tax returns with 3 value add deals simultaneously. Just do 1 deal, let it finish, give your tax returns a year or 2 to kind of like recover from that value add property, and then buy another one, right? Or like I said, do creative finance where you don't even involve a bank, you don't involve credit checks, you don't involve any of that, right? Like that might be the route. That might be my only choice, to be honest. Like with my next batch of deals, where my only option may be like DSCR loans or creative finance, right? Like I think every investor hits that point, and maybe that's the point that I hit. Even though I make a 200K plus W-2, they don't care, right? So it's been really interesting.
As far as the lenders that you're in contact with right now, what are you seeing for rates for the cash out refinance? I know it's going to be a little bit higher given that you're taking money out. But what are you kind of seeing?
Yeah. So Bank of the West, they quoted me 75% loan to value for the cash out refinance or the appraisal, whatever is less, right? So in my case, the appraisal was less. So 75% of 520 is my loan. And I am seeing 25, 30-year AM. Bank of the West is giving me 30. Local community banks are 20, 25. They're being a little more conservative. And interest rate, Bank of the West was the best, 7.5. I actually bought a rate cap on it. That was a security. I put down a deposit of like $400. I would lock in my rate, but for like 30 days, but I'm kind of approaching that 30-day mark. So my rate might go up a bit, but it's about 7.5. Other local banks, they were quoting me around 9. And then DSCR, honestly, it's like 11 to 12, around that range. If it's just straight DSCR, no tax returns, nothing, right? And then in terms of fixed, Bank of the West is giving me, well, they have prepayment, but they have 3, 5, 7, and 10. I'm probably doing I think a 5-year or 7-year, one of those two. I think it was a 7-year, because the prepay penalty was only 1% after 2 years. So I feel like I'm gonna hold on to this for at least 2 more years before I do a refinance, because interest rates are garbage right now, right? So I'm probably gonna have to wait 3 years for that. So that's what I've been kind of seeing right now. But I think on the last Fed report, I think they're going to raise interest rates like for the next 2 quarters, to be honest. So I think in 2023, it's still going to go up, unfortunately. So that's why I said that, like, unless you go creative finance or you don't mind doing a DSCR, by the end of the year, you're probably talking close to like 14%, 12, 14% for a DSCR loan. Unless you do creative finance, right? Or maybe at that point you can negotiate a more reasonable rate. If you can get 7% off market creative finance, that's pretty solid. So that's the rates I kind of been seeing right now. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been very volatile. It's day by day, which is why it's good to have multiple lenders, right?
Do you have somebody that you think you're leaning towards and you have another appraisal planned out?
Honestly, yeah, I reached out to Stride Bank. They're actually local to Enid. They actually have an event center near my 20 unit. And they kind of told me like, hey, reach back out once you get 90% occupancy. So initially I didn't want to work with them because I wasn't at 90%. I think I was at 80. But I think I hit 90%. I might have dipped to 85 if that one tenant was evicted. But they just said reach out when you hit 90. But honestly, like if I use another bank, I'm probably gonna use the same appraisal report. Like I don't want to go through that time lag. I'll just take it, like, hey, this is my appraisal report. It's done like a month ago. Like just give me 75% loan to value of this or whatever you can give me, 80% loan to value. And underwrite the deal that way. So honestly, like I'm just gonna use that appraisal like moving forward. Because I don't want that time delay again, right? Of another, 4 weeks potentially. Just have it up front and then get a good accurate quote up front for that. So yeah, it's been funny, right? It feels like the lenders don't want to work with you, and then I'm like telling my guy, like, hey, dude, like I'm an existing customer, like it shouldn't be this hard, for an existing customer. And I keep on saying that, like, in apartments, you're supposed to look at like the deal, like the actual asset, not me. Single family home, they look at me, right? My debt to income ratio. Apartments, they usually look at the property, not you. But I can kind of see that they're looking at me, right? Because maybe I'm doing smaller apartment complexes, right? If you do like 100 unit plus, so that's what kind of got me thinking too. Like I've honestly been anti like syndicating and raising money, but like honestly, if I get better loan terms and they don't have to look at me personally, that might have to be the route I go to, right? Like I have a lot of people who want to do Oklahoma City within my mentorship, and I'm like, I have the systems in place. Like when things are more stabilized for me, maybe I'll start syndicating and bringing in partners where I'm getting that non-recourse debt and they're not looking at me personally, right? Because I have the systems in there and it depends on what deals I come across. Like obviously if it's like a little 20 unit, I can take that down myself, or maybe 40 unit, but I might have to start syndicating, depending on if I want to pivot down that route, right? Now, I'm sure I have a lot of people who want to invest with me if I were to go there, just because I've done like, two value add deals there, have property management in place, contractors in place, know the rents, know the area. So it's very easy for me. But I never thought I would think about that route, right? But now I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit, as I'm going through it, like, man, like if I had a bigger property, a cash flow, made more gross income, was larger, and you get that non-recourse, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan, it might make my life a little bit easier. Maybe not. It might be just as hellish, right? I don't know. So it's kind of got me thinking, but definitely like 95%, I want to go off creative finance. Like I don't want to deal with lenders again. I just want creative finance, 45-day close, 30-day due diligence, 15 days to finalize all documents, right? Assuming I'm taking it out myself. Just keep it real simple, and relatively stress-free. So yeah, that's been my thing. Like lenders are pessimistic, appraisers are pessimistic. It's been challenging. It's definitely been challenging. Any other question, you guys?
I just respect the number of learnings and kind of pivots. Well, not full on pivots, but like hurdles that need to be overcome.
Yeah, like I kind of pride myself to be like very high stress tolerance. And I'll be honest, like the past, like just this year, I think 2023, it's been testing me. Like I would wake up like really stressed, really burnt out, making a video about it. But then, I just said, geez, like what I'm currently doing, um, isn't currently working, right? And it's kind of funny because like, well, in Asian Americans, we always get made fun of like looking really young. And I'm like, I feel like this year has like aged me to make me look like I'm like my age now. But yeah, I actually mixed it up where making a video called like The Miracle Morning. So for those who don't know, there's a guy who wrote a book called The Miracle Morning. And basically you kind of do a routine in the morning where you have an alarm, you wake up at 6 a.m. And then basically, my habit was like, man, I'm so hard to get out of bed. I'm not motivated, want to go to work, nothing to really look forward to. And the reason for that is you're just getting beaten up left and right. Like when you own 90 units like me, like every day I'm getting hit with something new, right? Like literally while going through all this, like my single family home I own in Alabama, the tenant moved out. So I'm just like, God damn it. I just lost like $800 in cash flow. But the monthly payment was like $1,100 or $1,300 all in. And I was getting like $2,200 in rent, but I was just like, man, at all times, like couldn't wait until like my 20 unit finished doing the cash out refinance, or my mobile home park like finished selling, right? Like why can't one of those two things happen? But when you own 90 units of real estate, like you get hit and you get hit in waves, right? Like that's always been my life. I get hit in waves, like left, right. Like, so for me, like I used to, not be motivated, low energy, like no motivation whatsoever to do anything. I felt like I was like slightly depressed, right? And then I read The Miracle Morning, and he just said that when you hear the alarm, you basically just wake up immediately, wash your face, brush your teeth, wake up, and then basically you do you have a moment of silence or something, like you're in silence. Like it's not really meditation, but like I can't meditate, but it's just like being in silence. So like before, when I used to wake up, I used to like turn on music or turn on podcasts to listen. Now I stopped doing that, right? I'm just in silence. And at that point, I've been wanting to increase my flexibility. So I'll like do some stretches for like maybe like 5-10 minutes. And then in between my sets of stretching, I actually will like kind of just like close my eyes and do positive affirmations. I used to think that was like foo-foo, wooey, kind of bullshit type of stuff. But I was just like, you know what? I'll give this a try, right? Like I give it a try. So I'll give like affirmations like, I'm tenacious. I can get through this. I'm gonna look back in 10 years and get through this, and look back and laugh that this was easy, right? It's just stuff like that, right? Like, oh, you're a great, you will do a cash out refinance, right? Whatever hurdle you're thrown at, you'll get through it. Just stuff like that. I'm not usually that type of person, but and another thing I'm doing is a little bit light exercise in the morning. Like, I'm not a morning person at all, but just doing like 80 push-ups or jumping jacks, whatever, just something to get your heart rate up. And at that point, I'll actually like journal. Like, I'll scribe like quick bullet points, like 5-10 bullet points about what my mindset is or what I learned through that day. And it's kind of nice to review it, in retrospect. If you do it over a year, you can look back a year ago, like, oh, this was my mindset. So I was doing all that stuff. It takes probably about like 15-20 minutes of my whole day. But I've noticed like significantly like how it improved my energy, how it improved my mood, and how it made me a little bit more resilient to bad things that happen. Because I've been getting hit left and right every day. Like before, when something bad happened, I'd be like, oh my God, why is the world against me? Like, why, like, what did I do to like get hit with all these bad things, right? Like normally I would be like, why did my tenant move out all of a sudden? Like, why at this time? But this time I'm just like, oh, well, tenant moved out. Property manager's working on it. Okay, great. What can I do, right? So it definitely made me more resilient again to this higher level of stress that I'm being dealt with. And then on top of that, like, you have to really like focus on like your nutrition, right? Like, eat properly, sleep. I have to sleep 8 hours a day. I'm taking a lot of like supplements that I used to not take, right? Like in the morning, I take like a vitamin D, vitamin B12, and a vitamin C, because those all help. I think vitamin D helps with energy and mood. I work an office job. I don't get much sunlight. Vitamin B12 kind of helps calm your mind down a bit. And then vitamin C kind of helps with like stress that's caused by your body, right? And definitely I'm under a lot of stress, right? So it kind of helps calm that down. And then at nighttime, I'll take like a multivitamin magnesium, because that kind of helps. Magnesium actually helps relax your body, helps relax your muscles. So if you work out, it helps relax that, but also helps relax your mind a little bit so that you can be less stressed and then you can go to sleep, right? So yeah, I completely changed, like adding a morning routine and then being a lot more methodical in terms of like, my diet. I don't eat as bad anymore. I don't drink as much alcohol because it makes me feel slow and groggy. And then like, I like optimize like everything. So been seeing crazy results where it's been making me a lot more resilient, and it's very interesting. So I used to kind of be very skeptical about these like morning routines and all that stuff, but I guess in my case right now it's working. So it's been interesting doing that. But yeah, have a whole video coming out about that soon. But yeah, definitely learning a lot and getting beaten up a lot, but learning a lot throughout the process of that.
For journaling, are you using a physical journal or are you using something like Notion?
For me, I'm a little old school, so like I don't like doing it on the computer. I should just have like a little notebook, like you can buy at the dollar store, like those like composition notebooks, and I just put the date and I'll just write like 4 to 5 bullet points. Sometimes it mixes up. Like sometimes I'll write like positive affirmations, like what I learned, my mindset about things. Like I think that like my downfall, if I were to have a downfall, was that I scaled too rapidly. 80 units in 8 months is a lot, and I almost could have gotten like probably close to 200 units in like a year, right? So, or like like unfortunately our brain is very fear-based. Like we're more focused on the negative. So what I've been trying to do is like, if my brain is naturally fear-based out of survival, right? It's a basic survival instinct. I'm purposely trying to inject positivity like into me, right? So like what I journal sometimes is I call it like a little highlight reel, where I'll like jot down like all my highlight moments of my life, like whatever that was, like getting my first apartment complex, right? Buying my first property, getting my first pharmacist job, right? Getting my first pharmacy director job, just stuff like that, right? And trying to like stay more positive. And it seems kind of arbitrary, but like I kind of get why people do that now. I'm like, because sometimes when you're just getting beaten up, you just kind of want like a little win. Like for me, like I'm just like, hey, I got like a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. Great, that's a win, right? And even though it's like nothing, but it's just like focusing on that kind of positive aspect when like everything is like not going as planned, right? Like I kind of thought like recently, like let's just say my park did sell like last month, right? Or earlier this month. And let's say my cash out refinance did hit the appraised value that I got. And let's just say like if I hit those two, like I would think this year is the greatest year ever, right? Like I sold my mobile home park, hit my cash out refinance, and then I'm just gonna go all in to renovate my 26 unit, right? But because I didn't hit those today, right now, but what I'm trying to do is fast forward. So let's say it takes me 3 more months. Let's say I'm done with my cash out refinance mid-July, right? And let's say it takes me another 3 months to sell my mobile home park in whatever September or October. If I were to look back, let's say in 2025, I'll be like, oh, it's pretty successful 2023, right? It's just delayed by like 3 months. So it's really this mindset shifting that I've been doing recently. And it's just kind of feeling bad because like the worst part is like if I'm stressed, now it stresses out my girlfriend, right? Or if you have a significant other, like a wife, like they're affected too. So I have a high stress tolerance, but my significant other may not have as high, and that's when I kind of start feeling a little bad, right? So now I totally get it why when people have kids, they have a family, like you cannot be as aggressive as what I did, because now they're going to feed off of your stress, right? Like as a sponge versus like right now I'm single, have a girlfriend, but I kind of see how it affects her. So I'm just like, geez, I went a little bit too fast, right? I sprinted a little too fast than I would like. So, but at least I'm learning it now in my early 30s, right? Versus like learning it while having like a kid and family. Like I would be even way more stressed. I'll be honest. So I kind of get how my immigrant parents, who had nothing, like they're way more conservative, right? Like I get it. They probably went through this period that I'm going through, but even worse, right? So I can see why they're very like risk adverse and conservative in their approach. And I never understood that because I always had a very good foundation and I only thought I can go up, right? So yeah, very, very woke moment, I'd say, recently for 2023, in terms of learnings and whatnot. Great question, Gary. Any other questions? Cool. Yeah, definitely. That's what's kind of inspired me to do these sessions too, right? Like I kind of know what it's like when you're getting beaten up left and right, and it's just nice to kind of hear that like you're basically not alone. And the path to success is often this way, right? Like no one it can relate to me. Like, oh, you feel bad about yourself, and you own like more real estate than most people would ever own, right? So that's what's kind of key about these like sessions that I do, and why I host them, and just to bring on people who want to learn and kind of see the dark side about. I'm very transparent, to be honest, and just being able to kind of learn about it. So definitely love to share the value any way that I can, and
and
each other's.
Yeah, I'll leave with this, because I've been on this situation in a single family side with an appraisal that you just know didn't come out right. Like, the comps, what you put into it. You definitely might have better luck with another lender because I had one where the appraisal came in at 320 for a single family, and then it came in 460 with another lender. So, like, it's a huge difference. Like, so you might have better luck with the other one and it just works out better. So I'm optimistic for you because I've been there.
That's no, thanks for that, because like I'm engaging another bank and maybe they have another appraisal company and maybe I'll just pay 2,000 and see.
And that was me. I paid another 750, however much it was. I was just like, all right, I know that the value's there, and in your case, the rent's there, the cap should be less. So yeah, I feel like It's just this lender giving you troubles because the same, like I said, I've been there before.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, if you spend $2,000 and the value goes up to like, 600 plus 650, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
more than paid for itself with the loan. Right?
Yeah,
So yeah, that's why I definitely engaged. Like I said, I can only control what I can control. So
100%.
basically, that's why I reached out to other lenders and hey, why not? If I pay for an appraisal report and I'll be like, hey, Bank of the West, I got another one. Like, would you honor this one?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. That and yeah, even though I have 90 units, this is my first like cash out refi, right? So it is my first cash out refi, so it is humbling. But yeah, no, thanks for that, and that's why I said that's what's nice about having a community and a tribe. People have been through the same stuff, and but yeah, sometimes because like I said, each appraiser they have their own biases going in. I might just add a grouchy appraiser.
It could have been a bad day for him, whatever the case.
Yeah, he might have like hit the car on the way there and had a
Yeah.
bad day and said, "Screw this guy from California who's trying to make money on this deal," right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, yeah, just try another one, and yeah, it's a gamble, right? Worst case, you pay another 2,000. If your appraised ARV goes up, then well, you just pay for itself, and it's leveraged a bit. So
Mm-hmm. And like I said, you have a good understanding of the market, and that was with me. I knew the comps, and I was like, I wasn't expecting it to appraise at 460, but it definitely should appraise in the 400s, like 410, 420. So I just got lucky, and it came in at 460. So
yeah, like I'm pretty confident it should be at least 100K more than what I got appraised for.
Exactly.
And I think probably the issue was because usually I have my general contractor there for the day of the appraisal, but my general contractor could not make it that day because usually they're describing all the work that they did, and he actually didn't go into all the units either. He just kind of went into one vacant unit. Usually they go into all the units, and that's what I was expecting him to do, and they can see how nice it is, and it feels more emotional, right? Oh my God, this looks so nice, right? Because we did a good job of renovations. It looks nice. You go into that brand new unit that was burned down, if they see the before and after photos, like it's drastic. So, a lot of it's kind of telling a story, and I don't think you get a good grasp of the story if you just go into like one unit that was just vacant. So yeah, maybe I will push. I'll probably inquire tomorrow to see.
As
But like
far
I
as the
said,
contest, sorry, are you
but,
actually going through with it, like with Bank of the West?
they kind of shot it down. I kind of didn't really push further. Just because I don't want
Because of the time.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, like interest rates at 7.5%. Like honestly, I'd prefer a smaller loan. Like, like I don't mind. Like I know like in 2-3 years I'll get the value that I intended for. So but if interest rates were like 4% or like that rate, I would probably fight and do another appraisal. But I think at 7.5 to 8, like that's a pretty high interest rate, relatively speaking, right? So it's kind of like that's what the stock market gets. So I'm not trying to be too. I don't want to give them a hard time right now.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to get the loan closed and move on. And because I want to kind of exert all my mental energy to like selling my mobile home park to the right person, right? Like really finding that person, finding that buyer, or bringing on a partner who wants to come in and partner me in my mobile home park deal, right? So that's where I really want to put all my time and energy in. So I kind of just want to, get the deal closed with and then do that. But like I said, I'm still pretty like confident on my numbers, but I'm just kind of choosing the more convenient path right now. But yeah, if I only had this deal, right, going on, oh yeah, I would fight this like real hard, right? I would fight it really, really hard. But like I said, like if I were to get reappraised, it probably would be like, yeah, probably that low 600s, which is what I anticipated. And, so we'll see. I'll see. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll get an offer tomorrow at my mobile home park, and then I'll feel more motivated to like want to slide a flyer under Bank of the West, right? It just really depends, but on my situation, it's pretty fluid. But like I said, I could, if I list this thing for even 700K, like I'd have people running to me, like it's like tomorrow, right? On this deal, like I probably can get someone right now to buy it, like for 700K and give me an offer like tomorrow. easily in this deal. So yeah, interesting times, but yeah, I never went through it with single family homes and all that. So, but I have heard people like you can get like 2, 3, 4 appraisals, right? It's just a little more expensive of multifamily. But versus single family home, yeah, it's like $500, $700, get multiple. But for apartments, it's like 2K,
2,000, yeah,
2K plus, right? So like if you want to do 3 appraisals, like you're kind of gambling a little bit, but like I said, it just depends how confident you are in that, and we'll see who the new banks use. They might use the same appraiser, right? It's like, shoot, they use that same guy.
But I guess it's a different. It's because you said it's a different appraiser, but same company.
Yeah, I think it's or it might be the same appraiser. I need to look on the actual report. But it's the same company, but it could have been a physically different person who visited the property, right?
Yeah.
Or some people just don't like the small town, right? Like, if you're from Oklahoma City and you're going to like a tertiary market, like you're not going to be as bullish on it. And Oklahoma, it's really like a steady Eddie market. Like it doesn't really go up, it doesn't really go down. So it's a great market to diversify in, right? So like, eventually if I'm further down my road, I might want to buy apartments in California to kind of add on more of that, more appreciation area. And I know California pretty well, obviously, living there. But once I have a really solid portfolio in Oklahoma, maybe I'll get something in California and house hack my apartment, like live in one of my units that I own. But we'll see. Like I just really need a more cash flow. So I even thought I might not even cash out refinance one of my 26 unit. Like that one might cash flow me very well, and just want to come from a position of power. And it's a different mindset investing when you are in a position of power of good reserves versus investing in a position where you feel a little bit desperate, right? So I've experienced both, right? I experienced the power position, and then now I'm experiencing a little bit where you're a little bit more desperate, and your mindset's completely different, right? So because I know that now, I don't want to lose that power position. So you watch Star Wars, don't lose the high ground, right? I feel like I lost the high ground a little bit, and I don't want to lose that again. So it just may take me, maybe not cashing it, refinance my 26 unit and let that thing cash flow like crazy, right? Like for context, my 26 unit, right now I'm cash flowing about 4K a month. My monthly mortgage is 1,900.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting like, geez, I think I got like I'm getting 13K in rent. I have 6 units that are vacant. That's 700 a pop. So what's that? And there are 4,000. That's 1,700. I'm cash flowing. Well, I'm getting 1,300 right now. My mortgage is 2,000, 1,100.
Like $4,500, not counting the extra, right?
Yeah. So I'm literally cash flowing right now 4K a month. Right.
Yeah.
And I have 6 units vacant, and I'm like, so okay, imagine I rent out those other 6 units. Economies of scale, right? I can get another 4,000 in cash flow. That's 8K a month in cash flow once I rent out those remaining units. Like I said, 3 are almost like done, right? Like, and that's another 2,100. So I'm like, that's 8K in cash flow I'm gonna be making. I'm like, that's like my W-2 job, right? And I'm just gonna sit on that cash flow, and hopefully that cash flow will sustain my other properties that are maybe lagging a bit, right? Like maybe
that's a great deal right there.
Yeah, I'm like,
and that one was 500. You got that?
Yeah, I bought for 500. Honestly,
wow.
I got offered $1.3 million doing no renovation on that property 2 years ago. And I turned it down because I was like, no, this is my cash. This is my golden goose.
No, that's amazing.
And I think it to be worth 1.5, to be honest, at least 1.5 when I'm done with it, right? But like I said, because interest rates are garbage, I don't want to touch it yet, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to touch this because I want that 4 to 8K in cash flow, where I take that cash flow, I can use that to renovate my units, my 20 unit, and then help support my mobile home park. right? In case something happens. So, that's why I kind of said like, hey, like finish those last 3 units are almost done. Get those rented out, right? Increase my cash flow by 2,100. The remaining 3 units, they all need like probably 15K worth of renovation, like new everything, right? Like if I'm cash flowing like 8K a month, give me 2 months cash flow, then I can pay for 1 unit, right? Finish that unit, wait another 2 months, renovate that unit, another 2 months, and in 6 months, that the whole thing is rented out, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. And my 20 unit, like I'm getting around, I think 9K. And if the monthly payment is, 3,600, I'm probably gonna be cash flowing maybe like 1,500, but if I have one expense, it's gonna wipe it, right? But that 1,500 in cash flow could at least support the maintenance and all that stuff, right? Like if whatever something breaks, it can at least cover it. So at least I know that property is going to be like for the most part like self-sufficient, right? So yeah, it's just kind of been like I may like that cash flow. Like I have a 10-year fix on a 26 unit. I can write out that 8K in cash flow and think about every year I raise the rents by $25 times 20, or let's say $50, 26 units. That's another 1,300 in cash flow a month, right? Like now I go from 8,000 to 9,000, and the year after that it's 10,000. The year, I know I'm not going to always raise it by 50 a month, but that's just an example, right? Like, and that's where the game gets crazy. Where like I went from 8K to 9K to 10K. So it's that's why I try to remind myself that like, and I might even change too, or like, man, I did such a huge value add mobile home park. Like I may not do as large of a value add deal again, right? Like maybe just my apartments that I'm doing where I just renovate the units. That's all I want to do, right? Like heavy value add, my God, like it's a lot more work, a lot more stress than I would like versus like you do kind of like my 26 unit or my 20 unit, just make it very gradual. Like you do that over 3 years, it's easy. That's not even stressful for me. So like, it's just getting me to really think like, is the higher profit margin worth the extra stress? For me, it's no, right? I'm more of a lifestyle investor, right? At this point. So like, it's fine, right? Like I just continue doing what I'm doing for my 26 unit or my 20 unit, slowly do that. And I would do this without even thinking about it, right? Like I can buy another 20, 30 unit, same thing. I know exactly what to do. Same team, right? So that's why I said like my mobile home park was basically shiny object syndrome, and it's causing that downstream trickle effect of additional stress. And I'm learning a lot, don't get me wrong. Like I know how to vet mobile home park syndicators. That's what I'm probably gonna do moving forward in the future, is just give money to syndicators doing mobile home parks to diversify, but I don't want to do it myself personally, right? So that's how I'll diversify. I will invest with a syndicator who I can vet because I've been through the trenches, right? So that's kind of the silver lining, I'd say, with my mobile home park at the end of the day. So yeah, that's kind of, it definitely changed my approach significantly, like in terms of like how I want to invest. Like I was all about like leverage. Now I'm just kind of like, you know what? It's okay to like have one property where, maybe you're not as leveraged, or if I do a cash out refi, just don't take out as much money. I don't have to take out the max, right? Like if it's worth 1.5, 75% loan to value, like I just can take out 50% loan to value, right? Leave some money in the deal, right? So it's really got me to change my perspective in terms of how I want to invest. And I never thought I'd have this, mindset like a couple months, like 6 months ago. So it's been really, really interesting for me to learn. But yeah, anyways, I guess it's 8 o'clock. Any last question before we sign off here?
Also, thanks for hosting these sessions and sharing your thoughts and the journey.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and please invite people. If you know anyone who wants to come, just invite them. The more the merrier. It was definitely nice when I first started. I had like 30 people on the call at one point. Now it's a lot more intimate, but yeah, definitely invite whoever. Just shoot me their email and I'll send them an invite.
Alrighty.
But thanks, guys. Thanks for hopping on, man, and listening to my rant.
Thank you. Have a good night, y'all.
Happy to be here. Good night,
Have a
y'all.
good one, you guys.